Some moments in life etch themselves so deeply into your memory that no amount of time can wash them away. They don't come with warning or fanfare, they just settle in, quietly, like shadows that refuse to leave. What happened between my father and me wasn't planned. It wasn't even spoken about. It just unfolded, like grief turning into something neither of us expected. Before I take you into this story, please make sure to like this video and subscribe. Your support helps this channel reach more people who love stories that stir the heart and linger in the mind. The house wasn't the same after my mother died. There's a silence that seeps into the walls, into the air, into your very bones. It wasn't just absence, it was a hollow echo that followed us everywhere. The house used to be alive with warmth. I can still remember the sound of my mother humming in the kitchen, the clatter of pans, the rhythm of her footsteps moving from room to room. Now, it was just me and my father, David, carrying our grief in different ways. David never spoke much about it. He wore his pain behind his eyes, in the way he would linger just a second too long in a room, or how his smile would arrive late, like it had to fight its way past sorrow. I felt his grief like a low hum in the air between us. We never named it, but it was there, vibrating beneath every quiet routine. A year passed. An entire year of pretending to move forward while everything inside us stayed the same. My mother, her name was Grace, had been the thread that held us together. With her gone, the air seemed colder, even when the sun poured through the windows. One night, when rain tapped against the glass like a lullaby, I found myself wandering downstairs for tea. I couldn't sleep. The house was wrapped in silence, except for the sound of water falling steady against the roof. The kitchen light was on. My father stood there, his back to me, both hands braced on the counter like he was holding himself up against the weight of the world. When he turned and saw me, there was no surprise in his eyes, just recognition. "Couldn't sleep?" he asked softly. I shook my head. "You?" He exhaled, slow and heavy. "I miss her voice the most at night." There was a crack in his voice that split something inside me. I poured 2 cups of tea and handed one to him. Our fingers brushed. It was nothing, just a fleeting second, but the warmth of that touch stayed long after. He held the cup in both hands, grounding himself in its heat. "You've grown strong," he murmured, eyes searching mine. "She'd be proud." My throat tightened. "So would you," I whispered back. We stood side by side, sipping tea in silence. The rain wrapped around the house like a hush, and yet something inside me stirred, a quiet awareness I couldn't name. Spring came slow and deliberate. I took on more of the household, cooking meals, keeping him company. He lingered more on the porch, at the dinner table, in the spaces where our lives brushed against one another. His words grew gentler, his questions more personal. He asked about my dreams, not like a father checking in, but like a man who wanted to see me for who I was becoming. One golden evening, I found him in the backyard. He stood in the fading light, fingers clasped like he was holding something fragile. "Mind if I join you?" I asked. He smiled, a real smile this time, and something inside me melted. I sat closer than I ever had before. He looked at me, his voice low. "You remind me of her. But you're not her. You're something else. Stronger. More alive." My breath caught. His words were meant as comfort, but they carried something more, something neither of us had the courage to name. Regret flickered in his eyes, but before he could pull away, I rested my hand on his. "You don't have to apologize," I whispered. He didn't move. Slowly, his fingers curled around mine. "It's not wrong," I said softly, "just complicated." He looked at me then, really looked, and I saw it, the grief, the love, the fragile bloom of something new growing through the cracks of our sorrow. "I don't know when it happened," he admitted. "Only that when you're near, the world feels less heavy." "I feel the same," I confessed. That night, I found myself standing outside his bedroom door. I didn't knock. I just stood there, my heart racing, before finally returning to my own room. I couldn't explain what I was waiting for, only that the silence around us seemed to hum louder than ever. The days grew gentler. He began to touch me more. Not in obvious ways, but in ways that carried weight, his hand brushing my back when I passed him, the lingering press of his fingers when he handed me something, the way he stood close enough in the kitchen that I could feel his warmth. "You've become the heartbeat of this home," he told me once while I cooked. I smiled. "You say things like poetry. And you inspire them," he replied. We ate dinner by candlelight that night. It wasn't intentional, but the moment felt intimate. Afterward, as I reached for the plates, he gently stopped me. "Thank you," he whispered. "For staying. For letting me feel again." Our hands separated slowly, like something sacred had just passed between us. Later, I found him asleep on the couch. I draped a blanket over him, careful not to wake him, but his eyes opened. "I didn't mean to wake you," I whispered. "Maybe I was waiting for you," he said softly. I sat beside him, and he looked at me like he was finally letting something go. "Do you ever wonder," he asked, "what it would feel like to stop pretending all the time?" I swallowed hard. Yes. He reached for my hand, and this time, I didn't let go. "I've spent my whole life following rules," he confessed. "But none of that prepared me for how I feel about you." I held his hand tighter. No declarations, no drama, just truth. The world would never understand this. But maybe it didn't need to. This wasn't about replacing her. It was about finding warmth again, about two hearts rebuilding something quietly together. Sometimes, love doesn't shout. It settles in soft, like breath, like the glow of a candle, like the way his smile lingered when he whispered, "You mean everything." And for the first time since we lost her, I believed him.